tough times all around the world. With that said, people are complaining. We're hurtful with politics, you name it, poor service delivery, empty promises, and corruption. My name is Mtutuzi Spego, known to you guys as Electro. I am hanging out with an activist, a possible councilor, and she's also a philanthropist. May you please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Nkele Galedzana. I'm a community leader in Ward 75, currently standing as a ward councillor candidate who is independent of any political party.
Okay, you mentioned that you're independent of any political party. Yeah? Is that possible? Like, how's that coming along? How do you become independent of any political party?
First of all, I think we should start it back when you speak of me being an activist. I'm an activist that's born within a political party. But the realization is that in 2021, they're no longer relevant to the current status quo. So mine was to say, as a community leader, I need to stand up and actually fight for the people. Hence, it's independent. So when you're independent, you belong to the people, you account to the people.
Yeah, but I feel like when everyone's coming up, they all have the right things to say to us just so we can vote for them and make them that councillor. And then by the time they're in position, they don't deliver and they don't live up to their expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, someone who's a 2K right now, who's in their early 20s or who's a teenager moving into their 20s can also see that politics has been disappointing us since the beginning of time. You know, what makes you different and how are you going to stand out? And please don't give us political answers or PR answers telling us that no, I'm going to give you guys free houses because we've been promised free houses but still nothing. Yeah.
Very much true. You know, I'm different in the way that I've started my work. It's been close to 12 years busy with community work. I'm someone who's actually quite passionate with the youth first of all, you know. I've been running programs that are delivered directly to the youth itself. So I'm different in the form that I implement before I occupy the office. So my tagline that I'd like to, most of the time when I put in posts, I put there is to say, do the work before you occupy the office. Because now the problem is that one would say, I would like to occupy the office before I do the work. But it's much better when you come to the people and you're coming with something that's concrete to say, this is what I've done, this is what I'm doing currently. You know, it shows that once you're in the office, you'll be able to do more than that. And that's one thing that I've done, and my experience with actually speaking encounters with that. For an example, just a few months back at 4th Avenue in the ward, there were a few shacks, 17 shacks to be exact, that burned down. And unfortunately, the current councillor, who's part of a political party, couldn't assist him. So that's when I stepped in as a community leader to say, you know what, I really need to help these people. And we actually built bricked houses for them. Imagine moving from a shack and coming into a built house that actually bricked house. You know, that's what I've done so far. And I've done many other things, you know. There's been a seminar that we had which is targeted into kids coming to get into programs, you know, all these sort of things that are actually targeted to young people, to the youth, because there's no other future without the youth.
Without the youth, yeah. When you started, you said that you worked with a political party who are irrelevant to the current status quo, right? What makes you relevant to the current status quo, and what is the current status quo?
Unfortunately, hence I'm speaking of that political party. I can't mention it, but the specific political party didn't see the relevance of me being in it, and me being the current status quo in itself, you know, being relevant to it is directed to the fact that, you know, they say the youth is the future, you know, and unfortunately there's no other future like now. If the youth doesn't stand up now, there's no other future they'll inherit. There's no other future they can live with. And that is why I feel that as a young person who understands the situations that are happening in young people's life on a daily basis, young people are actually opting for drugs because we're led by old people who don't understand that, you know what, if I don't get a job, I won't be able to actually fund for the family. I won't be able to actually take myself forward, you know. But as a young person, I'm able to understand because you know, you need to do this and you need to do this. Because of this and this and that. So I understand him, I understand the circle. So that's why I believe that as a councillor, I'll be able to also work towards that and changing them so that our future can be much better.
Yeah. You know what change I personally would love to see now? Remember, you're a philanthropist, right? So you endorse people's financial dreams, educational dreams rather. So now I'm someone who's just matriculated, but I couldn't achieve high grades in terms of getting like 6 or 7 distinctions where I can get like a bursary or someone to come invest in my educational well-being. Now I just got a D or an H. that doesn't make me stupid. You know, that doesn't mean that I don't deserve opportunities. What are you doing to change that? Because now you find that a lot of people who are unemployed, a lot of people who don't have access to better education are these people. Once at home, umntwana achieves like good grades, athola ama distinction I7, we guarantee ukuthi esikoleni kanjani. Umama akangeka stressing ngemfundo zakhe. But you get someone like me. I'm not an average Joe, but I'm just someone angihlakaniphanga njengalabana but ngithole a 60 esikoleni. And then I'm ngifuna ukuyofunda. I also want to be an accountant. But mina ngikhona ukuthola ibhazari because of ngithole uD esikoleni. How are we changing that? How are you addressing that? Because laba, they marginalized, they neglected, and they're the ones now who can bring so much influence and change within the society. Are you even one of those maybe?
But first of all, you need to first look at the problem itself. You know, our education system in itself is very problematic. Because one thing that you can notice is that we're told 40% when you're in school. When you need to commerce and get into varsity, it's extreme. It's beyond 40%. So basically you're giving us a mindset within high school to say this is how you need to live. But when I get to university, that transits. So we need to now merge both. It can't be that we have higher education and basic education. That's not merging. We need to first merge it. And by merging that, again, as councillors, as leaders, we need to then come out and say, we need to have our own pocket that we're saying this is our foundation that deals mainly with these people. H is a pass. D is a pass, you know. It's not because you've gotten distinctions, you've gotten B, it means that you're passed. We need to consider those people because you might find in 20H, but I don't want to go to university, I want to go to college because I want to be more practical than rather being theoretical. Because the thing is that you might be good when it comes to books, I might be good with my hands. So those are things that we need to bring within the community, bring skills development for people like that. You know, rather than telling you ukuthi hambe ufunda incwadi yabo ukuthi ufike somewhere, better than incwadi thatha na lungisa lento sibone ukuthi ungenzani. Those are such things that we need to do, and we need to encourage also young people in terms of these people who are in high school to say it doesn't mean ukuthi more life, it means that you have failed. You haven't failed, but you can still converse with impilo yakho.
So when as a council masikufaka lapha esikhundleni thina abama D, thina abama H, uzosilethela change. Can we believe in you ukuthi okay bafethu noma esikoleni ngingathola leyo 40 but I'm guaranteed ukuthi mangena unkele uzongenzela iplan. Ngeke ngihlale endlini ngikhamsile. If ani esikoleni unkele khona into azoyiletha khona la ngizoya khona.
Most definitely. If uzimisele, I'm there.
Yeah.
Because there are opportunities that I know about. So if uzimisele, I'm there full force. It's up to you at the end of the day which one uzimisele yini ngaleyo H yakho, ngaleyo D yakho, ngaleyo B yakho. It's up to you. If uzimisele as a young person, you're willing to take your life somewhere, I'm there. I'm there to listen to you, I'm there to assist you so that you can get somewhere.
So I think we're at a point where government yethu in South Africa specifically, because I can't speak for other countries, has disappointed us the most during these tough times in COVID-19. This is where we saw what as a government government is shaky, government ayikwazi ukusebenzisa imali. And now that it's election time, you know, so they're easing the lockdown restrictions. Bafuna ukuvula amasonto manje because they know ukuthi masemasontweni sothola amavote and we cannot get votes kunabantu abayi-50 esontweni. And it's impossible ukuthi umfundisi athi streama ku Facebook there no vote. You know what I mean? Wena, do you think uze ngesikhathi esi-right uzoba yi-cancel, or do you think now you saw an opportunity ukuthi damn it, the lockdown shubile, everyone's complaining about the current government system, and the only way for me to win as Nkele mele ngisebenzise ama-failures namaphutha walabiya during these times ngingenele abantu. They're gonna vote for me because of that. So azela ukuthi awuzanga ngale approach.
No, angizange approach, and even the what where I'm actually contesting elections, no. Because hence I'm saying that historically there are things that I've done. And beyond being an independent councillor, I come within a political party where I did contest elections. And unfortunately, because you know, when older people feel that you are someone who speaks out your voice, and if something is wrong, you're saying it's wrong, and they feel let them sideline you based on that fact. And that's when I saw that, you know what, at the end of the day, I joined the political party for a purpose of assisting people rather than being someone who's told iya left, iya right. So I thought, let me just be independent because I'm for the people. So if I want to do something from the people coming within, I need to then be independent rather than being a political party where I'll be supporting someone who I know is going to create another problem. You know, 5 years is such a long time. 5 years, imagine of getting no employment, of people, that drug usage going up, Many parents are crying within the ward, you know, and within the community in itself. In fact, South Africa in itself, to say abantwana bethu space esikoleni, abantwana bethu aqale siningi drugs. You don't know what the cause is. So, I mean, I feel it's better to be an independent councillor candidate rather than belonging to a political party, because it gives you that momentum to say, I belong to the people rather than a political party that will dictate coming forward.
Yeah. You know where my question stems from there? I'm not trying to like box you. I'm not trying to like fuckerize you in a corner. You know, I'm a 2K vibe. That's why the fuckerize. So, I think before Jacob Zuma, before Cyril Ramaphosa, before the late President Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki were presidents, they were representing the community before. But when Bangena in power, we saw something completely different. Hence, when I started, I said we hard fall in politics. Excuse the lingo. There was even a trending hashtag on Twitter, hashtag politics must footsack in South Africa. You know? And now it's easy. Now, I can easily do what you're doing. I can come up and say, yes, in fact, not ANC, and I've been doing this for this long. And shit, bro, I need money right now. I'm gonna get everyone that I want. I'm gonna pull a melusiki and everyone get the nicest chick ever. You think what 73? If there is a what 73 na Alex. Nyabavala, yo guys, because we saw so, and then I assist a few families in Bakeli's and then they gain trust in me. You understand what I'm saying? Once 7 truster, and then I change. So that's why I need people are hard for, you know. Ile ntuza yako, imende chako is proper. And I can see that you know what you're doing. You've been doing it for years, and you look like someone who's precise, and you look innocent. But thinking laba ba innocent, ibo laba nabangena lapha esikhundleni basibonisa izinto ezinye singazazi. So that's where my question stems from. But I get everything and I understand everything that you say. So now what I want to know is drug abuse, poverty. We live in a poverty-stricken environment like Alex, you know. So that's why Mutas of Vogue say now mama drugs, and you can only do that much change now in Paratin. Ama drugs is change again. Are we gonna look for the root of the problem, or is there more rehabilitation centers?
Firstly, you need to look at the root of the problem. For an example,
is the root of the problem?
There's an NGO that I work with. They feed these young people on a daily basis. And in fact, another thing is that I actually have a brother who's a recovering addict that I assisted. He smoked nyaupe for like 13 years. And sangene esikoleni wakhula nje, khula ngiyazi ukuthi uyabhema lo muntu. But today, if you could see him, he's someone different. Because you know, sometimes you need to talk, to sit down with one. As dirty as they are, just sit down with them. Mabuza ukuthi, how did you get there? You know, now they need, you know, that ear. And others, once you're busy talking to them, they can say, because for so many years, they felt within their families, they felt within their friendship zones that there's no one about you. You know, there's that person that's crying within that needs assistance. Hence, they then go buy an optimal taxi. So just sit down now. And by doing that, you're able to then get their point of view. It's okay, Lona ungene kanje because of this. Lona ungene kanje because of this. And then by analyzing that, you'll be able to assist them. And rehabilitation centers are actually essential and they're needed. You know, they're very much needed. And also support within the family. Because sometimes, forgetting the fact that they need that support, you know. That support for them to show them, I still care about you. You're an addict, but I still care about you. I want you to change. You know? Immediately when you're showing them that you want them to change, they then see Nsatana. So if Nsatana, that means that I can change my ways. Lento lenifana nokuphuza utshwala. Ungaphuza utshwala isikhathi eside. Mawubona na ukuthi umndeni wakho is actually being affected by that. You know, others even get into car crashes with their children and their children die or other family members die. So when a person sees reality when it strikes, that's when they take action. That's the unfortunate thing, and we've been taught that sakula. And that's something that we cannot change as the black society currently. But we must also listen to these people. Listen to everyone. You know, listening is better than talking.
Yeah, definitely. It's inspiring how passionate you are about the youth, you know, ensuring that you limit substance abuse within the youth unemployment and all of that. But I want to touch on a marginalized or rather neglected sector, the religious sector, you know. It was during this lockdown that now as someone who I realized that in South Africa, inkolo asihloniphi. You know, we were marginalized, we were not given a voice. See, in we lockdown, it's Amazon, our valley, we're shutting churches down, but bavula, ama restaurant, bavula, everything else. So, as someone who says something, we want to find out from you, dog. What change are you going to bring about to the religious sector? How are we going to benefit from the existence of council? How are you going to help us?
First of all, I would like to say that religious leaders need to stand up. You know, you must stand up to say, you know what, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We cannot be that person that you come to just because of the votes. We like to say I'm a voting cows. We cannot be voting cows when we know our importance, we know why we exist. So I'm going to bring about that education within the world to say, you know, the reason why it's not religious based is that in such situations like this, lockdown, they are there to pray for us. You know, currently there are other things also that happen within the lockdown. They are there to pray. You know, we need to respect each and every sector because all stakeholders play the essential role. In as much as political parties play their role, in as much as leaders play their role, even religious-based play their role. So they need to stand up and say, you know what, siyankosha le manje. Up until to the point you respect us, siyankosha emikhonzeni zethu. You can't come and say vote for one man. Sit where you're sitting. In as much as you said we must sit down and not pray, so sit where you're sitting. Up until the point that you come back and you respect us as a religious-based sector.
Yeah, because I mean, would say the lockdown restrictions have been eased. More people and they cannot come campaign with only 50 people. But you touched a lot upon the youth. There was someone young that's watching this knows what I need to vote for because we're benefiting a lot. But what about Abokoko now? About Kalaya, about the poor service delivery, about Kalaya, about the empty promises, who are complaining about the corruption. Benefits. What about Mama who's in her 40s right now? What do you promise for her? What changes are you want to bring about for Mama Mukuma 8 years? 90 years. How do they benefit from you?
Yeah. First of all, the reason why I was pressing too much when it comes to the youth is because at the end of the day, burden is much bigger than burden. You know, we are groomed as children by our parents to look after them. We're groomed as children to understand ukuthi umzali bekafika ku certain age kwamele hlala phansi umnakekele. But now things have changed. The younger are actually looked after by the old. Uthola umuntu ana 60 asebenza ngenxa yokuthi umntwana ukhona endlini unabantwana futhi. You see how it is. So mine is just to change the entire cycle so that nabazali can be stress-free, you know, going forward. And also there are other issues. Amanzi, you know, the houses-based issues, the service delivery in itself, you know. Ukuthi the safety also comes very essential. Ukuthi umuntu omdala should be safe in the household that they live in. So mine is to say, I'm going to bring safety, I'm going to bring unity within the ward. Unity in a based ukuthi just because we're no Mzulu, mina Mvenda, doesn't necessarily mean that we need to have conflict. But mine is to say we need to unite so that we can solve a lot of issues going forward within the ward and within probably Alexandra in itself. We could conquer that too when we come together and unite. So service delivery, that is an essential that I am going to focus on. It's not something that I'm saying that I'm not going to focus on, but as an independent councillor candidate, mine is to say that they are the future of the household. Yes. Yonke into izoba right, sizokhona ukuthi sibalance. Mhlawumbe more na 35 now or na 36 and ona msebenzi. They'll be able to balance leyo nto leyo. You can also go back to school. That's another thing that people should also understand. Which just because you're 40 does not necessarily mean that you can't go back to school. So mine is just to encourage them, and mine is just to say service delivery one way you will get it. That's a definite one. We will go there and we will fight. If you clakas ayiko, we go there and we fight and we tell them because the reality is that but tell me nobody not preach. But no.
And speaking of local, sorry to cut you short, I mentioned that Mama Boom Leo Bridge because it's what's affecting with like us like Alex. There are like 15 houses about connected with box 81 and with bridge. Malisha Lela box affected us all. Are we gonna work on that or say because it's only
no, we need to work on it. The reason why we need to work on it, the houses that I mentioned that burned down are houses actually that are affected by the very same thing you bridge.
Yeah.
Lento ukuthi intambo zihambe emgwaqeni asibonakali at all. You know, you see, there's many precautions that we need to. So people need education, you know. Kumnandi ukuthi ubabizele iJMPD uthamba lwenza ini.
Yeah.
Kusasa bayoyenza leyo nto leyo because they don't understand the implication of that.
Yeah.
So you need to go to the people and educate them as a leader to say the reason why I'm doing this is because of this. You know, engagements are very essential. Ukuthembisa umuntu into meceda lapho ungayikuyo engage. It's a problem. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why we're sitting where we're sitting. Another thing, taking away something without engaging, it's another problem. So mine is to say, as a councillor, I'm going to engage with these people.
Yeah.
To say we have a one-on-one talk. To say the reason why I'm saying no illegal connections is because ekugcineni kuyoshi inkukhu, kuyoshi izindlu, abantwana what if bakhona endlini? How will they escape? That means that we will be increasing also net death rate. So we need to be cautious in that basis ukuthi sicabangele abanye abantu and sicabangele nathi.
Yeah. Powerful. So look, dog, you're all about youth empowerment, as you said, but youth I vote. And that's like an honest opinion. Youth I know about politics. Youth I vote. Can you talk to someone online that's watching this right now and tell them how important it is to be active with politics? How important it is for you to vote, because voter, this is what happens, and vote, you're gonna get the empty promises you therefore cannot explain. Can you emphasize the importance of voter to someone young who's watching this?
As a young person, it is very essential for you to vote. You know, casting your vote means that you are predicting and you are putting that X onto your future. And that's a future that your children will inherit. As I said, 5 years is courtesy.
Yeah.
In 5 years, you could employ a lot of people. In 5 years, you could educate a whole lot of people. So as a young person, if you don't put that X there, it therefore means that when you don't care about what happens. What happens to your children, what happens to their children's children. Because there's a quote that says, history leaves no blank page. You know. So as a young person, when you're sitting, you need to understand it and you need to stand up and say, I'm going to put my X so that my future can be secured.
Youth, I vote you. You know, I think this is an honest opinion. You know, banning abantwana abancane youth, we keep telling them that you need to vote in order for you to have a voice. If you don't vote, you cannot have a voice. So I need for you right now to speak to someone that's young, youth that's watching this right now. Nkele, why they should vote, what happens if they do not vote, and why they should vote for you. Please look into that camera and just speak your heart.
Okay, first of all, as a young person, they need to understand that history leaves no blank page. When I speak that history leaves no blank page, I mean that if you don't vote today, it will reflect on other children. Meaning that you'll have your child and that will reflect on them. Because when you hlala phansi, uthanye vote. So in 2021, we're now facing izinto zabo COVID, we're facing our lockdown, and we can't have a voice as young people. That is why we're sitting where we're sitting, because young people don't want to go out. So as a young person, we have learned, and as a young person, you need to stand up and now say, I want to predict my future. If something comes tomorrow, maybe COVID, ban, I'll be having a young person who know how to deal with it. So it doesn't impact me as a young person in a bad way. Maybe or any other situation that would be happening during such a time. Because as a young person, you'll be understanding if this happens, and you understand what situations are. So young people, get out there, go cast your vote, and cast it to that very person that you want to cast it to. As I'm standing here as a young person who understands situations of young people, who understands the daily lives of young people, because I know your issues, I know where you're coming from, and I know where you're going. So that X, just by putting that X to say a young person must lead us, a young person must come with young and new innovative ways. We live, you know. Such things won't be known by young people, by old people to say, isn't this guy the phone in itself, how do we then move around it? Currently, the system in 2021, the IEC, is all electronically. How does an old person come to you as a young person to say, but as a young person, I'm able to say, now, so you can register, so you can do this, so you can do that and this, so you can register also, so young people, take the stand. The time is now. There's no other time, and there'll never be another time. If you don't stand up now, I don't know when you'll stand up.
Powerful. So, just so you have an upper hand to your fellow candidates, I want to know what what you've done, literally everything, the amount of NGOs that you've worked with, how people have benefited from what you've done independently outside of all of these political parties. Yeah, when I'm at least I'm giving you the platform. You know, so you can look into the camera again and let people know that this is what I've done for the community. This is how people have benefited. If you want more of this, this is what you vote for. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I have been involved since the times of high school. I was involved with NGOs. One is Independence Must Rise. The other one is Femship. So Independence Must Rise mainly deals with matric dancers. So we lend grade 12s matric dance attires, we give them makeup, you know, we assist where we can. Usually in the 5 high schools in Alexandra, we've done most of their matric dances, we've coordinated them, we've had MCs, we've had motivational speakers who came there and spoke to these people to say, Yazini, we're going to finals now, you need to decide where you're going, you need to decide who to follow by, you know, because they need that, especially when it comes to the matric dances, because it's a farewell, it's the last day, you know, we're all excited, but we need that, you know, note of encouragement as to how do I move from there. Another thing that I've done in regards to Femship, what we do is that we have consultations with young people, you know, teenagers, we sit down with them. Femship stands for family and relationship, so we merge both. So basically we're saying to them, as young people, as you are growing, you need to set a mindset to say, you can't just be only friends with people, but you must be a family that speaks about situations so we're able to assist each other. You know, I've lived my life and I've seen a lot of things, experienced so many things that I could share with the younger generation. Hence, we have this Femship that is run. And then another thing that I've been involved with, we've had soup kitchens for Bacheres, people who are drug addicts, you know, many of them are young people. So it's run by Ulwazi Fefe. It's an NGO. It's run by Meo Mumbaki Mekuki. So on a daily basis, she cooks for them. So they get breakfast, they get lunch, they get supper. And those are children that were chased away by parents. Hence I said when we spoke about drug addiction that, you know, parents need to support their children, regardless of the fact how. Hence I gave an example with myself that for 13 years my brother smoked drugs, but instead we supported him at the end of the day. So parents need to also take a stance with that and support Lilwazi Fefe by feeding these children, by understanding them, why did they get where they got. And just a few weeks back we gave them blankets to say, once again, at the end of the day you're still here. Others even smoke drugs and commit suicide, but they're still there, they haven't given up, they're still living. So that encouragement to say, yes, you're living, but change your ways is needed. Another thing that I was involved in is just a few months back, as I mentioned, there were 17 shacks that were burnt down. And in the 17 shacks that were burnt down, I played my role by building those 17 shacks with bricks. So we have 17 families that are living in brick-built houses. And there's many more that is yet to come. The idea is much more inventive, you know. I have a space in Alexandra, but we'll create space. And by creating space, it means that you must let go of the shacks and bring new infrastructure that will be able to accommodate them instead of going to the streets and opting for the very same drugs. So mine is to say I want to change every single thing that's happening. And the only reason I can change, the only way I could change that is through assistance of you. Putting that X, and even after putting that X, coming to support. Wherever I say, asiensiale, support. Because you know it will benefit you at the end of the day, whether you're young, you're old, it will benefit you in every way. I like to say to people, I'm a 2-in-1. And indeed, I'm a 2-in-1. I advocate for both young and the old. Thank you.
Alright, dog, that was so inspiring. So before we close, before we wrap it up, someone who's watching, they want to reach out to you on social media. Are you on social media? Do you interact with people on social media? If yes, please leave us your handles. And
yeah, I do. I mean, I'm young after all. So on Facebook, I'm Nkele Galedzana. On Instagram, I'm Umama Wesizwe, the mother of the nation. And also on Twitter, I am Umama Wesizwe. So you can just check me out on there. You know, if you want, just leave me an inbox. I'm a free-for-all person because I'm a community person who believes in empowering people, who believes in talking to people. Hence, I say that engagements are very essential. Even though you're not living in the ward, but you're someone who's actually looking at this video and you need assistance in anything, I'm there for you. Just hit me with an inbox. I'll be there just to talk to you, even if it's advice. I get about one thing called no, you need to assist people in terms of financial or other things, but advice goes a way long.
thank you so much for making time to come chill with me and give all the information that you've given. I wish you the best in your candidacy. I hope people are gonna do what's right. They're not gonna be biased, but they're gonna do what's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. With that said, ladies and gents, you heard it yourself. Nkele Galedzana.
Galedzana.
Nkele Galedzana. My name is Mtutu Zisbego, known to you guys as Electro. If you want more of me, you can connect with me across all socials, Electro SA, and I'm also on the airwaves, www.evolveradioroll.co.za, every Friday and Saturday evenings between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. If you want to see more of this space, highlight me on YouTube, The Chill Out with Electro. Signing out. We love you. Dango.